Hey guys, today I wanted to talk to you about being nice. This one's kind of personal because I used to be a total asshole hairdresser. And I'm going to just sort of tell a little story about me and maybe how I evolved a little bit. I was working at a hair salon that we were encouraged to be kind of snotty and snooty to clients, and we would get hauled into the office and talked to if we did hair that the management of the salon deemed not worthy of our salon company. And it wasn't like if we did bad hair. I mean, certainly you weren't supposed to be doing bad hair, but we probably did a fair amount of bad hair as well. But if you did a shape or something, and I remember for me one of the times that I got, as like, this isn't really part of the story, but one of the times I got hauled into the office for doing hair. This is in the mid '90s, and what we call a mullet today, we used to call hockey hair. Particularly Canadians would call it hockey hair. So I was doing this guy's hockey hair, and he had like that very feathered, big, but then like an absolutely glorious blown out mullet, like big and fabulous, like Billy Ray, amazing. And I got hauled into the office for this, and I knew I was going to get in trouble for it, but I was kind of looking forward to it. I got hauled into the office and said, "We don't do hockey hair in this salon." And I said, "But he's a New York Ranger." And he was a really, really famous hockey player and used to play for the Canucks. And so she was like, oh, "Okay, well, that's okay, I guess, but you're not to do that on anybody else who's not a professional hockey player." But anyways, so we were really encouraged to either refuse work or have a kind of snotty attitude, and I developed into a really, really snotty hairdresser. I was a jerk as a hairdresser. Now, to paint a different picture, I was young, I was thinnish. I had, long hair, and I wore my sunglasses in my hair. It was very, dressed very Night at the Roxbury. It was the '90s. It was the mid '90s. It was shiny pants, and it was like, oh, did you see Gucci came out with a new belt? It was a really, really fun time fashion wise. But anyways, I was a totally different person, and I'd walk around just thinking I was the shit. And I was probably a mediocre hairdresser, but I was really, really busy. Like, I had built a very, very good clientele for myself. And I remember actually when I retired from hairdressing last year, one of my clients, it was really kind of profound because a lot of these clients stayed with me for nearly 20 years, since I first started at that salon in 1995, and then I retired in 2014. So 19 years. A lot of my clients stayed with me right from that first month that I was on the floor. And one of them, she was crying, and I felt awful, but what an ego stroke. Like, how incredible that I had like several clients in tears when I stopped doing hair, which was really, really powerful. Like, I was very important to some of these people. And one of them was telling me the story of when she first met me, and she came into the salon and she said, I remember I started doing her hair very, very early on when I worked for this company. I didn't know what I was doing. Anyways, she said to me, wow, I'm really, really worried. I'm kind of stressed out. I think she was like 17 at the time. And I said, "Don't worry, darling, I'm the best one here." And I'd been doing hair for literally like a year. And in that company, I'd probably just gotten on the floor 2 months earlier. I didn't know how to cut hair at all. And I know I didn't believe I was the best one there because there were some fabulous hairdressers there. But she thought I believed it. And I think it helped that I was kind of cocky and arrogant, that I guess I put out that I believed it. Anyways, so I built up a really, really big clientele, and I started to do extremely well and making a great living. And things were going really, really well. And I was on this path, and my success was based on me being arrogant and producing good work, but being kind of arrogant and having some sass. And I just got an email from another client who I had done her hair for 15 years, and she mentioned, how arrogant I used to be and the way I've evolved. And a lot of my clients used to love coming into the salon for my attitude. And it's kind of crazy. I would just kind of do whatever I wanted to their hair, and I'd say, "Well, whatever, darling, it's for the greater good." They're coming in for an inch, and I cut off 3, and it's like, "Well, your hair needed it, so get over it." But anyways, so this is how I was. And I was dating a girl at the salon, and who is now my wife. Anyways, when we went off and we opened our first salon in 1998, it was just a 2-chair salon, and she was my fiance at the time, and it was just her and I in the salon. And she had a client say to her, she whispered into her ear, and it was just the two of us in there, and we each had a client. She goes, "Oh my God, is that guy's name Michael?" And my wife's like, "Yes." And she goes, "That guy is the biggest asshole I have ever met in my life." And she proceeded to tell this story about how she had sat in my chair about a year earlier, and I had made her I'd humiliated her by saying I wouldn't do her hair, and that she should take it back to the other side of the tunnel. I still think it's pretty funny because it was so outrageous. But take it to the other side of the tunnel, honey, because we don't do that kind of work downtown. And I didn't do her hair, and my wife, like, could you imagine? I mean, you should be fired from a salon, but we never got in trouble for this kind of stuff. I'd have stuff written to the owner about some of the stuff, and he never talked to me about it in a negative way. I mean, it was, I don't want to say it was allowed, or super encouraged, but kind of. Anyways, so my wife was embarrassed to say that she was dating me, let alone engaged to me. So she was just kind of implying, "Oh yeah, I just work here. It's just me and him, and I work here. And yeah, isn't he an asshole?" So anyway, she pulled me aside afterwards and told me this story at the end of the day, and just said, "I just want, I was totally humiliated." And I was like, "But she wanted bad hair. Like, this is justified." And my wife was, telling me, "Look, there's lots of times that I do hair that I don't necessarily want to do. And what I do is I do the best version of what they want that I can, and I try to steer them towards a more current balance, and I educate the client. So maybe we don't get that haircut today, but maybe we start planting the seed for work that I know will look better on them as well, and also makes me happy as a hairdresser, and makes the client happy and know that I care about them and how they look." And it's like, oh, epiphany, like, oh my God, that makes so much sense. Just be nice and establish the relationship, and slowly help steer them into having better hair, or hair that also makes you happy, and what a much more fulfilling relationship that'll be. And at the time, see, as a hairdresser, for me at the time, oh my God, I was on such a roll. And then my phone rings, and yeah, it's Snoop. It's a great ringtone, so don't respect. Anyways, I'm going to keep going with this. So I had this epiphany because for me at the time, all it was about me and my experience as a hairdresser, as a rock star hairdresser. Now, this didn't mean that I was a total asshole to all my clients. And I certainly had relationships, and I was certainly had deeper depths than just being this jerk kind of guy. But I had been very successful being this guy. And clients would come to me because I did good hair, but they also really enjoyed the visit. I mean, there are certainly some clients that like a sassy hairdresser, and I definitely delivered on that. But it wasn't like I was just a walking total jerk to everybody, but I definitely had a bit of an attitude. And so when my wife taught me this and had this talk with me, and I thought, oh God, it's just the two of us now. I can't really buffer. I can't be fake anymore because it's just her, and I go home with her at the end of the night, and she knows the real me, and she knows that I'm a good guy because she wouldn't be with me if I was a total asshole at my core. But I can't really be that guy because she's going to be disgusted by working next to this person. So I started being kind of a nicer person and developing a much more evolved approach to client care and to hairdressing. And that actually turned me into a much better person as a human. And once we were able to hire staff, because it was just a 2-chair salon, and once we got really, really busy and started hiring and training people, obviously this type of attitude in good customer care was something that we built our whole company on and foundation on. And it ended up, for us, we ended up developing a philosophy of hiring nice rather than hiring talent, because we can teach anybody to do hair, but you can't teach an asshole to be nice, except for me. But I had more of a vested interest in being nice because A, I wanted the girl, and B, I wanted to grow my salon business. And so it really, really worked. But being nice is so much more fulfilling in the relationships. And I think for those clients that stayed with me and watched the evolution of who I became as a hairdresser and as a person, our relationships became much, much deeper. And then it stopped being about the hair, because honestly, if it's always about the hair and you're a salon hairdresser and it's always about the hair and not really about the relationships, you're going to get bored. And certainly you can be a super creative hairdresser, but you don't necessarily get to be creative on the clients that age with you, and they go into their 50s and 60s and don't necessarily want super creative work. And you have to find fulfillment in work that is fairly simple, And that's where, first of all, I mean, it's another story, but finding fulfillment in basic work is something that I really had to work hard to do. And I found a lot of beauty in those millimeters in doing little things that were happy or that made me happy as a hairstylist, but the client probably didn't notice. But that's a different story. But developing deeper, more meaningful relationships and allowing me to be nicer to my team as I helped put them onto a path of success, and be nicer to my clients and client care as I put them on a path to, I don't want to say better hair, but a better hair experience in my salons, and with whether it was in my chair or in my team's chair. It was a really, really powerful thing for me. And I think it's allowed me to grow a lot as a human. So I don't know, like that's just a story about we can change and we can evolve. And some people are probably saying, yeah, you know what? You're still a total asshole. I've met you. But if you didn't know me then, it was way worse than back then. Anyways, I don't know if you get anything out of that. Maybe a little bit of inspiration. Maybe it's just an amusing little anecdote that went on for like 15 minutes. But that's all I have to say for today. Be nice. Sincerely be nice. Be nice at your heart, and put that out there. Be a nice person, and you're going to have a much more fulfilling day. Thanks so much.
Do you think it's gonna make him change? I'm just